容积增哈摩卓玛吉，一生间更拉蒂达玛。Don't you bakan le chata so rong chi ka yin ber ma hi ber Senyor mo de jerwai Ma Korwar Chimbi San Chila Yong Hamo Chochi Chat So Chila Machi他也此个几张你真他面别离我啦永远的歌那你家的手Pergawarangasan Thongni Gomper Masheper Shawang Imbe Yongwala Yongjanbe Chat so 三容兄你妹一啦，你是真被我瞧见，这大儿些将中巴能。你没见他们家的手，养到个东拉你心家，见证着等着么一比。一些顿拉梦巴拉，勇敢前进拉米家的手，真正能给参业间，看见。也没接，他懂了没刚子啦，用总算季节下的手。
Thank you, everyone. So now we're going to open a prayer, page 3. Oh, mothers and children, especially those enemies who hate me, obstacles who harm me, and those who create obstacles to my path to liberation. May they experience happiness, be separate from suffering and
swiftly I will list in the state of perfect complete.
Oh, mothers and children, especially those
Sorry, Kempo, I muted. I think you have two going. I muted you by mistake.
Oh, so I'm going to join my airbeats. Sorry about. Can you hear? Not mute, right? Don't mute me, okay? Oh, Mother Sentient Beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstacles who harm me, and those who create obstacles to my path to liberation and damnation. May they experience happiness, be separate from suffering, and save love, establish them in the still ones of past, perfect, complete, precious Buddhahood. Dalai Damwara Zibe Dai Wara Zibe Tarba Dam Dam Jen Jen Be Parade Ju Para Zebai Dam Je Je So Sebe Manam Ga Dai Nyam Be Zem Je Dam Je De Wai Dan De Dungarar Dan Rar Nyor De Lana Meba Yangda bara zobe zanjo rumbo je do barza. Thus unto I achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with the body, speech, and the mind. Unto death, I perform virtuous deeds with the body, speech, and the mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I perform virtuous deeds with the body, speech, and the mind. We take refuge in the Kandaru Lama and the lineage Lama. We take refuge in the deity of the mandalas of the Yadam. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sangha. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas and Dakinis and the Dhamma gardens, the possessors of the eye of wisdom. And I attain the heart of enlightenment. I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma and likewise in the example of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas invested in enlightened mind and the progress of the Bodhisattvas path. I too, for the benefit of our sentient beings, giving birth to Bodhicitta, and apply myself to complete each stage of the path. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent. I take refuge unto enlightenment reach. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. May all Mother Sentient Beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separate from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Short mandala offering. Page 10a. The ground is sprinkling with the scented water and strewed with flowers. It is adorned with the meadow, the spring mountain, the four continents, and the sun and the moon. As the Buddha share, I offer it. May all sentient beings attain the happiness of the Buddha field. To the lamas who possess the three kayas, I offer the order in the secret offering. With my body, worth, and all that is visible, please grant me the supreme realization enlightenment. Whatever merit I have gathered through prostrations, offerings, confession, rejoicing, beseeching, and praying, for the sake of the enlightenment of all sentient beings, or this I dedicate. Om Guru Nam Indra Bunza Manga Samandra Savaran Samaye Ahom. I call refuge on the name of the world. You are the victor. Vajradhara with wardrobe. I bow at the feet of Father Jidin Sungro. Continually I think of no one but you. Compassionate one, grant your blessing. Dispel the darkness that surrounds my heart. Please bless me so that I can realize the unliberated nature of mind. Please turn the way of Dharma of the two words and their combination according to the disposition, and likewise the mental capacity of sentient beings. Page 33. Manjushri. 32, sorry. Long press to Manjushri. His wisdom is brilliant like the sun, free of the clouds of the two worlds, and perceive the various steps of knowledge in the true nature. For this reason, he holds the wisdom text at his heart. He has compassion for all beings who suffer from the darkness of ignorance in the presence of samsara, as a father for only son. Like a thunderclap, he awakes those who are sleeping in ignorance and losing the chant of karma through the 60 branches of harmonious speech. He wears the wisdom sword to cut the settling of suffering and to dispel the darkness of confusion. In the Bodhisattva form, he is pure from beginningless time, fully accomplishing in the 10 levels, and perfect in the body of all knowledge. I supplicate you, Manjushri, adorned by 112 sons of Buddha, to dispel the darkness of my ignorance. Om Arapatanade, Om Arapatanade, Om Arapatanade, Om Arapatanade, Om Arapatanade, Om Wangeshoram, Om Wangeshoram, Om Wangeshoram, Om Wangeshoram. Page 32. You who are the perfect, youthful body, whose flame of wisdom blazes, and dispel the darkness of worldly ignorance, I posted before you and praise you, Manjushri, and the heart chara is a sun. Okay, so we finished that part. Good morning, everyone. Are you ready to listening teaching? So, ready to listening teaching, first you need to change your intention. Secondly, we talk about the 3 vessels. Do you remember in the essence of Mahayana teaching? We talk about the 3 vessels. When you receive teaching, so anyone remember the 3 vessels? I think Mary remember. Can you say again, Mary? No?
I don't think I can remember that one. The 3 vessels. Nope.
You
Give me a
remember, I
hint.
thought. So our yard, do you remember the upside down? Yes or no?
I think I remember them. There's the leaky vessel, the one where everything flows through, the one that's poisoned, and the one that's like upside down or closed. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Just had to
so
get my mind around it.
Okay, I think Francie Gabriel, do you know that, right? What means? Can you explain for us?
Well, the overturned vessel, the overturned pot, you can't put anything in it. So if the mind is not open, it can't receive anything. The cracked or leaky vessel, whatever you put into a mind that can't remember anything is gone away already. And if you use a mind that is poisoned by wrong views or wrong attitude, then whatever you try to put into it will be distorted and disturbed.
Thank you very much, French Gerbery. That's it. So you ready listening teaching, so you need that. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But
So
you said,
now we're going,
Tempo,
yes.
you said we need a leaky vessel, but we don't need a leaky vessel, right? Like, am I missing
So
something?
whatever you like understanding, which ways?
I don't need a leaky vessel because I want it to stay in the cup.
Yeah.
Okay.
I said, if the mind is like a leaky vessel, it will
Yeah.
not stay in.
Yeah.
Yes. So think about that. Don't let go of that one. Okay. So now we're going into today teaching is stage your meditation, awakening the mind. Correct? Okay. So then this teaching has introduction. So introduction is the name of the theater and introduction about meditation. So we finished the introduction, the main body of the text. So we are main body of the text. Number one is how to meditate on the 4 thoughts that turn the mind. So we finished that. Second one is how to meditate on love. So we finished that. Third one is how to meditate on compassion. We finished that. Number 4 is how to meditate on bodhicitta. So we finished that. Number 5, how to meditate on shamatha. We finished that or not? Are you sure? Okay. So then we finish. Okay, number 5 finished. So today we are how to number 6, chapter 6 actually, how to meditate on the Vipassana, page 56. This is the hardest one. So we are going to get into Vipassana, page 56. Okay, so now last week I shared how to meditate shamatha. Shamatha is first step, like kind of a preparation going into meditate this Vipassana. Without the shamatha meditation, Vipassana is really, really hard. Actually, almost not possible, we can say too. So then that's the reason, first step, we have to meditate shamatha. We have to create our mind is like stable, relax, and easy to like, you can change whatever you want, like your mind is become, you can control it. So shamatha meditation, you have to create like that. Then we have to go into Vipassana meditation. Shamatha meditation is for everyone. I mean, like, if you accept a religion, even you don't accept religions, even you don't thinking about a future life. So shamatha meditation benefit good in this life, bring the peace, happy and joy. The life is become more good way, and happy life is the bring shamatha meditation bring that benefits. So then who thinking about the future life and who follow the religions, then going into Vipassana. Of course, actually, shamatha also benefit future life, and who follow the religion, very important is shamatha meditation. But shamatha, we can share even someone not really follow the religion, someone don't really thinking about a future life, still you can share shamatha. It's really good to share them to make, create a causes of happiness for them. Then how to meditate on Vipassana is like more higher level than shamatha. So who meditate shamatha, then that person have to going into more deeper level is Vipassana. Vipassana benefits not only this life, actually Vipassana is like taking you to the Buddhahood. So Vipassana meditation is causes of Buddhahood, not just causes of like happiness in this life and some future lives, not just only happiness in the samsara. So Vipassana meditation actually causes of Buddhahood. That's the reason, at a more deeper level, harder level. So without the shamatha, that Vipassana is not easy to practice, not easy to meditate. Actually, without the shamatha, still people can practice Vipassana, but Vipassana is like not really stable. You can get there, but you can lost again. And if you wanted to become more stable, your practices become more, like how to say, the more deeply benefit you and stable, and then you have to study this Vipassana. So the second part of this teaching is on explanation of Vipassana, Tibetan called Lamtong. So here we say second part of this teaching means, why is we talking about the second part of teaching? The method and wisdom. So this book is like included like two sections, method and wisdom. So all the way, four thoughts meditation to Antra Bodhicitta, that is all part of method. So then part of wisdom is starting from shamatha meditation. So shamatha is number one, and then this is number two, that's why second. So you have to know like that way. So otherwise, like this is not number two. How to meditate on Vipassana is actually chapter 6. Chapter 6 is how to meditate Vipassana is chapter 6. But here says the second part of this teaching is explanation of Vipassana. It's talking about the wisdom section. So then Tibetan is called Lamtong. This explains coming down here. In Buddhism, it is taught that we need to learn from a realizer master, and this points to the importance of seeking teachings. So this Lamtong meditation or Vipassana meditation, we have to learn from the teacher. So which kind of teacher we need? The realizer master. So this realizer is actually a little bit translation, something too much go in. Not really realizer. It's like kind of a knowledge teacher, knowledge master. So because who share this teaching, Vipassana, have to know the Vipassana teaching. So that's why knowledge teacher. Sometimes the realizer teacher don't know how to share the teaching. Okay. Sometimes like knowledge teacher don't have realized, but knows how to share the teachings. So that's why this is like referred to knowledge master. And this points to the importance of seeking teachings, because the reason is like who going to learn the seeking teachings. Then you have to learn from the knowledge teacher, means who know the teaching. someone has realizer, so realizer doesn't help you anything, because realizer is you cannot move to once realized, cannot move to someone. So that's Buddha said, cannot move to, like right now we use the USB or something, you know, or it's like put into the, I give it to you, someone give it to you, like all the fires. But this realizer cannot do that way. When you get a realizer, so first you have to learn and listening, contemplate, meditate, then you get a realizer. So this realizer cannot transform to others. And someone will get realizer teachers. If that teacher don't know how to share teachings, not much benefit. It doesn't help you. So that's why you have to learn first. There's the reason is main important is Buddhist is not come from in the sky, you know, like have to growing on the earth. So you have to grow in your own from the earth. Means like we have a Buddha nature, we have to purify our obscuration, we can become Buddha. So Buddha is not come from like sky, come from earth, growing. That means like regular beings need to transform or purify karma to can become Buddha. Buddha is not come from pure land. So this teaching is like we're talking about the stages, you know, how to we have become Buddha, transform, purify karma. So then it is through listening to many teachings and reflecting on the meaning that we derive the pure view we will be integrating in our Vipassana meditation. So then Vipassana meditation actually have to learn the teaching and listening to many teachings means like we have to study, investigating, using the knowledge. So not just only resting mind. Here, Vipassana has two sections. So first section is intellectual Vipassana, intellectual analytical section. So second is like resting the mind. The two different sections. The first is like analytical. So analytical meditation go first. If you go to use analytical meditation first, then you have to listening teachings. Listening to many teachings and reflecting on the meaning that derive the pure view means you have to understand what you're doing. So not just blindly going, you know, blind going in, not blind faith, not just believe only. So you have to know what you're doing, you know, clearly. So that's why pure view, we will be integrating our Vipassana meditation. Also, actually, some people like even without this listening many teachings, but through the devotion and the meditate, they also can be get the realization too. Sometimes like just depending, you know, many different kind of people, different situations, different conditions, different circumstances. So that's why it's like some people don't listening much teaching, but they also can be become realization too. So that's why it's some people who get realize didn't listening much teaching, no using intellectual part, they can be realized, but they share the teaching for others is not easy. So we have many like that in Tibet. Culturally, in Tibet, like just, you know, kind of the people don't want to use knowledge. Many people just wanted to resting, strong devotion, and strong belief, follow the teacher, receive some feed instructions, meditate, they can get realized, but they don't share the Dharma. Because they didn't learn the Dharma, they don't know really how to share the Dharma. So that kind of many people there. And then of course, who this listening, teaching, and understanding, correct view, and then they get realized is more different than who just don't have much education to get a realization. So if wanted to benefit more other people, then of course, like who learn the teaching first, like analytical use, and then you understanding clearly what you're doing, then you practice, and then you get realization, you share the teaching, then it's more performed and you can benefit many people. So then also this listening, teaching, and you use analytical meditation, it's really helpful us purify all our doubt, you know, like sometimes we don't really understanding clearly what we're doing. Sometimes maybe we think, oh, what I'm doing is maybe incorrect. So, you know, you don't have confidence in yourself. So then you can get with other some different kind of like teachers that don't know which kind of teacher that can be easily influenced. Because without this listening and you no study teaching and not use analytical, easily like going, you know, shift. So you use listening to many teaching, and you know this view, you meditate analytical, then you understanding Dharma. So then you know what teacher talking about, what teacher is talking is correct or not, is really right view or wrong view. You can understand. So that's the reason you have to study. And the Buddha also asked everyone, his disciples, he says, rituals means his follower monks and nuns, and the scholars. It's like analytical, use analytical, investigating. You know, there's a goal, like same is the goal. And at that time, the goal is like, you know, they put in the fire, and then they create something again, and then they put again. They really make sure the pure gold create like testing many different kind. I think the ancient time something they're doing. So he says same is like that. Investigation, me investigate my teaching. So use analytical investigation. So that's Buddha told. So that means like, you know, if something wrong, you don't have to accept. So logically not correct, you don't have to follow, you don't have to accept. So that's the Buddha, he has confidence, you know, he shared that because that time other many teachers, no one has that kind of confidence to say, investigation me, investigate my teaching. So everyone say, follow me, listen to me. So that's it. So believe me, trust me, that's it. So then Buddha so use the intellectual meditation. That's the most important part, Buddhist teaching. It is the lack of sufficient knowledge of the teachings that present an impediment to Vipassana, literally seeing beyond. So if we don't investigate and you don't get knowledge, so then that is like become impediment to Vipassana. It's obstacle for meditation Vipassana because you don't have understanding clearly. This section in Vipassana is really short, very, very short. So you go to like learn other books, it's really, really long, lots of informations, so much. So I try to bring here is like most important sections. So just easily you know what means analytical meditation. So what means like, you know, non-conceptual or resting mind meditation. So you know like easily you use this Vipassana, this section in this stage of meditation chapter 6. So actually, of course, all this Buddha's philosophy is part of this whole thing. Is philosophy is all is investigating and debating, use knowledge, and that's why Buddhist teaching is the same as science. Science. So have to all is knowledge using. So now here, seeing beyond means like what I say up there is like lam tong, right? Tibetan say la tong. What means la? What means tong? You have to know that. La is special. So literally seeing beyond Vipassana, seeing beyond means looking deeply into suchness nature. So that is the meaning of the lam tong. Lam tong means like you never see something before you seeing. So seeing beyond. Beyond is like not usually seeing, not the our this 5 faculties object. So beyond the 5 senses, it's easy to say like beyond the 5 senses. When you meditate shamatha, not beyond the 5 senses, because you can focus with the object. You're just mind resting with the object, not really beyond there. So you focus with the breath is also not really beyond in there. Yeah, and this Vipassana is seeing beyond. What means seeing beyond? It means looking deeply into suchness nature, looking into reality, absolute truth. That's why it's lam tong means we never see some before that it's going to see. Also, this part is harder because looking deeply into suchness nature, we are going into nature, not just relative truth, going into the absolute truth. So there are 2 aspects to Vipassana. Here has 2 sections: analytical or discursive meditation, and non-conceptual meditation or resting the mind. So this whole Vipassana teaching is subsumed in these 2 aspects. Analytical or discursive meditation and non-conceptual meditation. Sometimes we say resting the mind. So which is we have to go first? Of course, analytical go first. So analytical make clear. Then resting is like just you be in their state, nature. Like analytical is like you build the house. Resting mind is like you stay at the house. So that kind of, you know, like difference. So first you have to know your resting meditation is correct or not, you know, followed by analytical. You use analytical first, then you know your resting meditation is correct. If without this analytical meditation, you're going to rest in mind, but sometimes you don't know why I'm resting like this. Why this is correct? Someone asks you why it's correct. You say, I don't know. You know, you don't have answer. So that's the everyone has. When my situation, like example, I share with you like my story first. I get first teaching is a non-conceptual meditation, rest in mind. So I meditate, and it kind of looks like it's good, but I don't know why it's that, correct or not. So what happened is like when I joined in monastery, in the monastery we don't have really teachings that time. It's always ritual things going on. So we all the time doing pujas, practicing pujas, practicing. Then that time I was young, but I don't know have to learn something different than pujas. But then 1 year we invite in the monastery one temple, so that person stay only 45 days, and he share some teaching, some during in the practice time, like only 1 hour, 1 day. So, and that month is really hard because it's 1 month, 1 hour teaching is like feeling is like 1 day. Like so hard. But then I didn't get anything beginning part, and the end of there, kind of like I think I have to learn something. So then so then end of the year, Gachin Rinpoche organized Gar monastery monks or went to see the Khenpo Mingser. So we are in the journey like couple of weeks on the road, like trucked use. And to get there, Khenpo Mingser share the teaching, and he give teaching is discursive meditation and non-conceptual meditation or rest in the mind. So he give that teaching. We meditate, and there the Khenpo Mingser introduce actually called natural mind. So introducing, we have very strong devotion, but I don't really understanding what he says, because his dialogue is totally different. I never heard before that kind of like dialogue. So I really cannot understand. But anyway, we just strong devotion and like listening, and then we meditate, and really don't know what it's doing, not anything, like just all is blind. So everyone say meditate, we meditate all the time. We stay in the tent, and Gachen Rinpoche was there. He comes very early morning. If you don't go to meditate, he bring the water, cold water, pulling you. So we have to get up early and have to go to the all is open space. You have to go different place. People just use umbrella and stay everywhere meditating. So we meditate, and then there's one old Lama, and his name is Akupema. So one day someone says like, if you wanted to know your meditation is correct or not, you have to see that Lama. So then someone organized, we Gar monastery Lamas like two together have to see him. So he just, you can find like he stay outside somewhere, in the outside, just like meadow, like no any trees, no bushes, like just always a Tibet open space. So we go there, just ask him to help. So he say, okay, sit down. So he's asked 2 lamas sit down with him. One is right side, one is left side. We have to meditate with him. So then meditate and like takes 10 minutes, something. He say, yeah, that's it. That's it, correct, So he give like that kind. Then we thought it's correct. You meditate, but I really don't know why you have to do that. Kind of like when you meditate, like minds be there, like clear and present. So it's low grade, but I really don't know why is that important. Why is that is the nature. So don't know anything, but we meditate that. 1 month stay there, meditate. They went back to monastery, and so then I changed my mind and I wanted to learn the philosophy. So then went to a Khenpo Jimmy Pinso place, studied Mayamika teachings. So then really helpful what before Khenpo Ministers talked this meditated like, you know, mind is like person, clear, empty. But before we don't know what is that is correct or why we have to do that, then you study this Mayamika teachings. It's clear, 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 clear. You know, you recognize, resume everything. So that is the intellectual part. So mine is like first I went to the rest in mind and then went to the intellectual. So some people like go intellectual first and then going into the rest in mind meditation. So that makes sense. You know, Khenpo Minister, when he shared the teaching, this analytic, this non-conceptual meditation, rest in mind, when he shared that meditation, who going to receive that teaching from him must finish preliminary practice. He tests all these 4 thoughts meditation first. 4 thoughts meditation, he you know, ask them meditate, and he take tests from one by one. So he don't really give like public much, like you have to see him like individually go to see him. So he tell you do like impermanent, these 4 thoughts, just I don't have to go one by one meditate. So then he telling that you have to go do that. Then one day I finish. So then he asks you questions. So then that pass, then of course like after he say use that 4 thoughts meditation together is like uncommon preliminary practice. 100,000 postations, 100,000 mandalas, 100,000 Vajrasattva, and 100,000 like refuge prayer have to chant. So the who going to receive non-conceptual meditation from Khenpo Minister have to stay 1 year at least there. So they cannot just go and take teaching can go. So then finish that, then he going to give that non-conceptual rest in mind meditation, like called Dzogchen meditation, Mahamudra. So someone who studied Buddhist, even not finish this window, means like preliminary practice. Someone who went to Sheda, like study Mayamika, like 3 years. So that kind go to, he don't ask this Nindo practice because there's someone already studied like 3 years Mayamika teaching, then that person has already analytical meditation 3 years. So then he just giving teaching for them, don't ask like questions, testing, and no require to do window practice. So that's the reason this analytica is make clear what are you doing. Make sense or no? Do you understand what I'm sharing with you? Okay. So then these 2 sections. So now today first we go to analytical meditation. Discursive meditation has 2 subcategories: meditating on the selflessness of the person and meditating on the selflessness of phenomena. So now this first analytical meditation has 2 categories too. The discursive meditation has 2, means like analytic has 2 subcategories: meditating on the selflessness of the person and meditating on the selflessness of phenomena. So you have to know these 2 categories. Actually, you know, when we say what 2 subcategories like analytica, you right away have to remember these 2. Very important. The selflessness of person and the selflessness of phenomena meditation is. So who has already teaching the supplication Tara, then this part is like actually you have already knowledge already there. When I share the supplication Tara, so then we talk about a lot these two sections. We have two obscurations. Obscuration, afflictive emotion, obscuration to the knowledge. So that two obscuration, where it come from? Selfish and grasping to the phenomena. So meditating on the selflessness of a person. So who don't have the meditation on the selflessness of a person, then that person has strong afflictive emotion obscuration. And who didn't meditate selflessness of phenomena, then that person has strong obscuration to the knowledge. So these two obscurations come from this selflessness, selfish, and another one is called phenomena. Is this is like opposite of the selflessness of person is how to say, like we say selfish, or and like opposite of the words is like selflessness of a person means like you realize, right? So what means like opposite of the selflessness of a person is selfish or
Selfish.
selfish, yeah,
Selfish.
selfish. Okay, then phenomena, how to other like selflessness of phenomena meditation opposite is
I'm confused on what is the difference then between selfless and selflessness.
It doesn't, can we back up?
what is
You're saying, what is the opposite of selflessness of a person?
yes.
It would be thinking that we inherently exist.
Yeah, that's the inherently exist, like selfish, right? Selfish or
No,
No, because selfish
Self-centered.
is stingy.
No, self-centered or self-absorbed.
self-absorbed.
Yeah, self-centered and self-absorbed mean kind of the same thing. If you're self-centered, the universe is about you. And if you're self-absorbed, you're absorbed in your own thoughts and feelings and emotions. And you're not that interested in others.
Okay, that's a good word. Self-absorbed. Okay, self-absorbed. So,
but self-absorbed is like the opposite of altruism.
what is altruism?
Thinking about other people.
So then that's correct.
Okay.
So yeah, the self-absorbed is only like I and the self, thinking about I, and also exist.
I thought you
So
said
I and the self
self-observed.
is exist permanently, inherently exist. So that thinking is the opposite of selflessness of a person.
How about ego focused?
Ego focus, I don't know, just I think many different kind of words very similar, right? So the main point is like I and the self is like you think it's like exist. The same is just regular, regular we think I and my always exist. So that is opposite is a selflessness of a person. Long as you have I and the self, then you have emotion. Where does emotion come from? It's I and the self. So emotion arises. What emotion arises, then is causes of suffering. So we don't want the suffering. That's the reason we have to meditate selflessness of a person.
I thought you said self-observed. So maybe that's some kind of new way of thinking. Self-observed,
Mm.
meaning
That was
observing of self.
absorbed.
It was self-absorbed.
Okay, yeah, but I thought it was observed. So I'm thinking, well, that's a kind of interesting spin. If you're observing, then you're paying attention to self. I don't think it's quite the same as self-absorbed, is it? Is there even such a thing as self-observed?
No,
Maybe
no,
they made a new thing here.
yeah, that's not a term. Self-absorbed.
Okay, so
What's that?
the main point
Like
is
the
here
inner
is
witnessing of the self.
From self.
main point is here is the self, I and the self. So we recognize that, right? I, self. Long as you have that, then you have emotions. So where is emotion come from? Self and I. So self and I is really exist or not? Actually, not really exist. Self and I. So then you meditate, you recognize selflessness of a person. So when you realize the selflessness of a person, and then you are free from emotion. So that's the reason we're talking about here is the selflessness of a person and meditating on the selflessness of phenomena is, so usually you think all phenomena is exist. Actually, this all phenomena is exist, not really, because it's like you don't investigate, you don't use intellectual exist, but you investigate, use intellectual, this phenomena is not exist. So you recognize that, so then that is called selflessness of phenomena. Okay, so that means like you understanding everything is emptiness. So the yogin or yogini prove the selflessness of the person as follows. So we have to approving selflessness of a person. Otherwise, somebody say you are not exist. Then say why I'm not exist. I'm here. So they're going to argue with you. You cannot be win. You have to use intellectual logic. If you wanted to winner, you wanted to debate, and you have to use logic investigating. So otherwise, people say, "Oh, you not exist." They say, "I'm exist here." So they say, "I'm exist." That's the reason what we have to do. The person is just this continuum of our aggregate, include our mind, or rather this sense of a thinker, a person who is feeling and emoting this movement of mind. So then, who is the person? Who is the self? So first you have to recognize that who is this person and who is the self. It's just this continuum of aggregate. Like we have 5 aggregates. Form, feeling, perceptions, mental consciousness, and then what is another one? Thomas.
Concept.
Concepts. Okay, that's 5. It's called 5 aggregates. Thank you. So including our mind. Then rather this sense of a thinker, like so you thinking about like, oh me, I'm going to do today this, like oh I'm going to go to meet people and I'm going to go to shop, or this all thinker is like include all this is called the person. A person who is feeling and emoting this moment of mind. So that is really exist or not. If you don't investigate, just live like that, that person will exist. Yeah. So then you use intellectual investigate, that person is not exist. So then, which is true? Of course, like when you use investigate, use logic, intellectual, the person is not exist. That is reality. That is the truth, nature. So if you don't use intellectual, investigate, you think I and the self, the person is exist. That is actually delusion. That is not correct. So that's the reason we have to use intellectual meditation first. How to use intellectual, fixating and clinging to the person as being a permanent, singular entity, as being me or I, is what is known as the self of the person. So self of the person, see, means like usually what we think, one is only one. Then that is me and I is known as the self of the person, is like with actually we're clinging to that, fixation and clinging to the person. So then it's we think always a permanent, and we think that is a singular entity, is one, as then that is being me and I. Is what is known as the self of a person or subjective mind. From the construction of a self come to the emotional poisons. From the emotional poisons come to karma. From karma come to suffering. So where is the emotion come from? Does emotion come from this fixating, clinging to the person? So person is me and I. And then long as you have that, you have emotion. Emotion create karma. Karma bring the suffering, samsara. So now, where is this emotion come from? Is actually come from the person and the self. The person and the self is really exist or not, so we have to investigation that. If the self and the person is exist inherently permanently, then we cannot do anything. Then the reality is that, self, person is exist, then what are we going to do? Nothing can do. We cannot change. So the self and the person is, we investigate, use logic, that is actually not exist. It is delusion. So that is not inherently exist there. That's the reason we can get rid of self and the person. So we can realize the selflessness of person. So when you realize the selflessness of a person, then we are free from emotions. Long as we are free from emotions, then free from karma. We not create karma. No karma, then we don't have to reborn samsara. So that means we have become liberating. So no, this is the intellectual meditation, means like we really have to look to this self and the person is exist or not. So therefore, the root of our suffering and all negativity is the self. All this suffering root is self. All the negativity also self. Or the subjective mind. So then this is just not only individual person, like self is not only our self problems. Whole world problem is selfish, self. All the problem is come from self. That's we recognize, because it's self means I, and then attached to I. Long as you have I, then there's others, hatred to the others. So then that create the problems. So now is these countries, why we have army? Because actually, why we need army? Everyone want peace and happy. The country already has like borders. And why we need army there? So it's safe. Then long as you have army, then what you need? Then you need all these weapons. So you have to create all these weapons. Then there's a competition each other countries. That's also safe. Then long as you have army and you have to create weapons, then who have to put effort, create that? All the citizens. Then all citizens pay tax, is go to for that. People work so hard. Where we using that pay tax is going to go wrong directions. All the countries like that, you know, it's due to self. It's create suffering for everyone. Create suffering for their own citizen. So if that all this put money is put in the school education, it used for like, you know, teach good moral ethics in the school, then world is become naturally peace. And then can create peace, but no one does like create causes of happiness. Everyone, these countries does create causes of suffering. So we recognize that. That is ignorant, like selfish, you know. The Buddha, he already recognized that. When he said, I found the path, means he realized self person is no exist. So he meditated selflessness of a person. And he get realization that. And then he give teachings like all other these kingdoms because it's peace. You know, he talked so much peace. All his teaching is peace and the compassion. But due to this people, human beings, ignorance, how many really follow that? Not so many, because it's due to karma and ignorance and selfish. So then it's of course like come down individually selfish, it's create our suffering. So selfish is not only suffering in this life. This selfish is we put in the cage, in the samsara. Then we are stuck in samsara. So lifetimes. So that's the reason, therefore, the root of all suffering and all negativity is the self, or the subjective mind. The other words, it comes down to erroneous mental state. The self is that we call the body, the constitutional elements, and the sense spheres. So, other words, it come down to in erroneous mental state, like wrong thinking. You know, self is a wrong thinking, wrong idea. Means actually no self, but we recognize self. We always think self, I is there. So same is like you see the colorful string, you see the snake, you think it's a snake. So like that, you know, that is a core. It is come down to in erroneous mental state. So you always think that is a snake. You always nervous and scared. You have fears there. Your fears never go until you really recognize that the colorful string is like no snake. Yeah. So then why we have that problem? Because sometimes like, you know, no clear seeing. So then you think it's the snake, but like that, you know, our ignorance, not seeing clearly. Due to that, so we think the I and the self is exist there. So long as we have I and self exist, then mentally think that, then we are stuck in, you know, samsara and like wrong thinking. So that's the reason here is the erroneous mental state. And then another is the self is what we call the body. So self and I is like you always say, where's the self? In here, you know, everybody pointing your body. I here is like you just like just like that I. You know, that means everyone pointing your own body, self. Called the body. The constitutional elements. So body is like all constitutional elements. And the sense affairs. But the person is not the essence of the aggregates and the like. So then you think it's like, oh, where is the self? Self is like, I'm this body, you pointing your own body. Your body is like 5 elements. And then there's 5 aggregates. And then this all constitutional, you know, sense and affairs. That is cannot be self. Why that is cannot be self? Because the self is already, we talked, one singular entity. So we don't think I is many. We always think I, self is only one. So then you think about it, your body is how can it be self? Your body is not one. This is a logic, you know, logically proven. You cannot be self there. You know, self is not exist. Your body is many part of particles. Your body is a compound of phenomena. So then how can it be your body is self? If your body is self, then you are not one self. You have so many self. Your body has so many part of particles. So kind of like 100,000 part of particles become self is like not one entity. It's 100 self is there. No one self is exist there. So that's the reason bodies cannot be self. Then people think, oh, this all far aggregate is self. But far aggregate cannot be self because it's far, it's how can be one. Far and one is different. So you have only one self. You don't have 5 self. That you logically 5 aggregates cannot be self. So that's why here, this is because of the aggregates and the constitutional elements are impermanent and are combination of many parts. Then also your body, your 5 aggregate is impermanent. Then self is what happened, we already talked up there, fixating and clinging to the person as being a permanent singular entity, as being me or I. So totally contradiction. Self and 5 aggregate is a contradict. Cannot be self is a 5 aggregate. So 5 aggregate is impermanent. Self is permanent. How can be permanent and impermanent is the same? The person is seen as permanent and as a singular entity. So what do we think person? Self is permanent and a singular entity. A concept which we import onto something else. So however, this person cannot really be said to exist as what we think it to be or as anything else. So no, you really think the person and the self is, you cannot say exist. Because logically you cannot find the self and the person, right? You cannot find. So you think about yourself. Your eyes cannot be self. Your eye is part of particles, many things, compound of phenomena. Your eyes cannot be self. Your nose cannot be self. So your head, the whole thing cannot be self. Then like that, all your low to your part of body is like you cannot be self. That's why Buddha, when he shared the teaching, it's a Heart Sutra, no eye, no nose, no ears, no tongue, no hairs, like all like no heart, not no, everything's no, because no exists there. That why Buddha sharing that teaching is talking about absolute truth, not talking about relatively you don't have eye, this eyeball. So no eye means not exist permanently eye there. Make sense or no? It's hard, it's intellectual. So this is because the person is not anything other thing or entity. So person is not exist. That is therefore like this.
Temple.
The caution assumption of me and mine is nothing but a delusion. So then me and I is actually not exist. It's nothing but a delusion. Then why we have I and the self is a delusion. Same as I just told you, some strength like colorful, your eye not see clearly, you see that is the snake. So then you think it's a snake is there, so then always you have fears. Long as you don't recognize it's no snake there, then until that you always have a fear. Then someone say, oh, that is no snake, that is your wrong perception or wrong thoughts. That is no snake. Then someone introduce you, then you'll say, oh yeah, it's no snake. Then your all fears go away. So right now you intellectually you understand the selflessness of a person. So intellectually understanding doesn't help. Still your fear go away. Your emotions are gone, cannot be go away. It's not possible. Intellectual understanding. No, what we have to do, we have to meditate. So you recognize like self is no exist. We have to meditate. How to meditate the selflessness of a person? So just easy way. When your mind is calm, relax, and look to yourself. Look to yourself. Where's I? So use like your ears, top to crown, all the way low to yourself. This whole body is not self, cannot be self. So then you meditate that again and again. Whatever you have fears, it can be released. Because all the fears is come from selfish. So especially when you have fear, emotions, look to yourself. Where is fear is come from? Where is emotions come from? So look to yourself. Then you see, actually, you recognize you also no exist. I and the self is no exist. So like when you see that, you just mind be that state, meditate, stay that state, and then you can release all your fears. So you have to practice, meditate often and often, selflessness of a person meditate. One day you can reach the realization, means you can realize through your realization. So then that time, you don't have like kind of like selfish. When you reach that level, so then you are free from, really fears. So when you're free from your fears, you recognize, oh, that's a selflessness of a personal meditation, get realization. So that is not only here book, you know, people, so many people meditate that get the level, they get realization. During the Buddha time, mostly his followers, students, meditated this shamatha, mindful, and selflessness of the person. They already reached the ahat level. Ahat means like you free from suffering, free from emotions. So then that time, this ahat who has realized selflessness of a person, that can, you know, give the body generosity for others is no pain for, no pain. Because there has a selflessness person realization. Even the cut body is like, same as cut the tree. They don't pain. That is like called selflessness of personal realization. So you know, so where is this all pain, suffering comes from is a self. So even not your body, okay, some other things. So something like not belong to you, that things like natural disaster or something going to the destroying, going something problems, you don't pain, you don't get suffering. So that things when one day belong to you, it's your take, it's mine. Then okay, so hurricane comes, your house is destroying, it's become you are pain, you're suffering because it's safe already. I already talked, safe already there. So if that not really thing is mine, then whatever going on, just like we see in the you know news, like some area like natural disaster, like 100 houses like full in under the water, or sometimes like 100 houses in the under the hurricane or tornadoes, disaster, like you know destroying. Your mind is like not really sad and suffering. The reason is because you didn't take it's my I. So one day you take this is yours, it's become that get problem, you are suffering. So think about the car is in the dealership, the you know like hurricane problem comes, like get cars problem in the dealership, you don't suffering. The one day you bought the car yourself and then and belong to you, and like hurricane or this disaster comes, you are paying, you are suffering, same car. So that is a clearly, you know, self create all these problems. So even not your body is like something you already take the self. Is that object is like, you know, you lose, the object is broken or someone stolen from you, you get suffering. Why? Because it's self, right? So that is like, we know, so everyone knows, we have own experience that. So sometimes I share like, see, the same is the hair. Like long as you have really good hair, beautiful, you are attached to that. So your hair, you know, something going wrong and you are sad, suffering. So one day your hair is not great, then you can get rid of because you don't want to get hair. So every month you cut through, you know. So that is like self, means like go, let go away, self, like you don't holding, you know, become. So let go away, then you don't get suffering. Same like that, you know, it's like, no, it's like this 5 fingers, like example, this, the right, my right hand 5 fingers, me. One day I get something disease in the like this pointing finger. Okay, so then it's, if I don't cut this one, it's going to get all this, get problem my whole body. So I can get rid of this finger. It's like no more self. I can easily get rid of that. So that time is no more self there. See, so no is like whatever we own, so like all is self. I and my. This is I, my finger. I is there. Long as you have that, if I hit here is a pain, suffering. So one day it's get problem here. That's going to affect the whole my body. I can cut that easily get rid of. So all that painful suffering is like where it's come from is always a self. No self, then your body also same is like same is like your cut your hair. One day you get that level. That means like selflessness of meditation, selflessness of personal meditation get realized. So then you recognize your whole body is just emptiness. It's impermanent. You're not attached to that. You're not self to that. So that time then no any pain and suffering. Okay, so I think that's too much. Sorry about. The person is seen as a permanent and as a singular entity, a concept which we. I see. The question assumption of me and mine is nothing but a delusion. Actually, it's a delusion, but we don't recognize it's a delusion. We think it exists, ourself is exist, but actually, if the self is exist, like you use intellectual investigate, then something exists. You can have find, but use intellectual investigate logically, you cannot find yourself. So that means like self is a delusion. Same is your dreaming. So it's a dream. Show me what you did when you was born until now. It's always the same as dreaming. Nothing can show, nothing can show. It's like always a dream. Delusion. We did so much something, in the past years. So now what you did, show me. It's nothing, always a delusion. Same as the future. It's always a delusion. Nothing is exist there. Same as dreaming. So we should investigate in this way. So still you can get more investigation. In the same way, we should try to understand concepts and emotions, which are the expression of the inner subject of mind. So no, not only, this body and far aggregate, the service no exist. Also your thoughts, emotion, also we have to analytically look to that. Where does this come from? So also we have to look to the mind, look directly at the concept of emotion itself. Try to see if it has a form or shape. Deeply and carefully look to see where the emotion comes from. So you look to yourself, where is emotion come from? Really you investigate yourself. Where it can be located, where is emotion located? And where it is goes, where emotion goes. Same is like this is clouds. The cloud is where is it come from? Where is it located? Where is the cloud goes? So condition comes, close arise. One condition comes, closes located somewhere. Another condition comes, close this go away. We don't know where it goes. So actually really look to, carefully and investigate, no come from, no any place to stay, no place any go. just is all disappeared. First, in this present awareness, you have a mind. So you have a mind like this present moment mind, and suddenly out of this mind, a thought or emotion arises. Then when you meditate, this is like right now we just teaching, sharing the teaching. When you meditate, so try to arise a strong emotion. So then look to where this emotion come from, where is emotion located, where is emotion goes. Or sometimes your thoughts arise. So then look to the thought. Where is thought come from? Where is thought located? Where is thought going? Try to see of the mind of thought or emotion arise. Try to see the following. Where is it going? Following. Did it come from in the mind or something outside of the mind? So no, this emotion thought is really come from your mind or come from somewhere else. So what are you going to say answer? I don't think so you have any answer there. Do you? So someone say yes, it's come from mind. Someone say not, right? You have only these two choices, yeah? This two answer is correct? Not incorrect. Why is incorrect? First, your mind exists or not. If your mind is not exist, how you can say all emotions come from mind? Yeah. So then you say you cannot give it no, because without the mind, where is emotions, thought? Without the mind, no emotions, no thought. That's why you cannot say not. You cannot say yes. The both answer is cannot incorrect. Why is incorrect? Because our answer question is based on its delusion. Yeah. So my thoughts, emotions, they are no exist. Anything is no exist. That's why no answer there. So you cannot give answer like whose father is first or son is first. You cannot give answer because like not son, who going to say is father. Without the son, you cannot say father. Father is dependent on the son. Son is dependent on the father. Father is not inherently permanently exist. That's why without a son, you cannot say he is father. So no one is permanently inherently exist father. No one permanently inherently exists the son. So sometimes the people say chicken is first or egg is first. So that's all is dependent, right? Interdependent. No any answers there. No exist. So if you conclude that thoughts or emotion are to mind, as sunbeams are to the sun, it is flashy because the sun and its rays shine simultaneously. If you conclude that mind and thoughts, mind and emotions are one, how are they one? It is that mind appears as a thought. It is that how they are one. So no, there's logically, so some people say, oh yeah, the thoughts, emotions come from mind. The same is the sun, the the mind is like it's a sunbeams are to the sun, you know. Sunbeams is come from the sun. So some people say, oh, sunbeams come from the sun. So like that, you know, thought is come from the mind. It is a fallacy. That also wrong, because the sun and its rays shining simultaneously means sun and the sunbeams are simultaneously together. There cannot be different. There cannot be like just sun beams come from sun. If something comes from the sun, they cannot be simultaneously together, because your cause and the result is together. How can be then is cause? Cause means like transform to the result. It's cause and the result together means like that is not that cause for the result. Do you understand what I mean here? So think about the result and the cause cannot be together. They cannot be simultaneously together. If the same, if the same cannot be together, like me and example, okay, you is the same, they how can be simultaneously together. If we are simultaneously together means like we are separate, not same. Something simultaneously together, you cannot say it's the same. So if you conclude that shine simultaneously, if you conclude that mind and thoughts, mind and emotions are one, how are they are one? It is that mind appears as a thought. So there cannot be one, because reason is mind and thoughts are cannot be one. They're simultaneously together. There cannot be separate, because without mind, no thought. So that's why you don't have any answer there. Is that how they are one, or it is that thoughts are merged with mind? If you conclude that mind and the thoughts are not one, try to investigate, try to examine how they are different, and so forth. So you use logic, investigate. You cannot find mind and thoughts one. You cannot find mind and thoughts separate, because reason is mind is not exist. You cannot. It's one, or you cannot be said separate. If something is exist, then you can say it's one or separate. But actually, mind is not exist. Then thoughts mind is cannot be same. Thoughts mind is cannot be separate. It's emptiness. Now try to see where the forms that appear to you come from. Do they come from the mind? So now you have to think about all these forms. Where does it come from? It's come from mind. Do they come from the mind? If they come from the mind, then it would follow that forms should always follow you wherever you go. That is incorrect, right? Wherever you go, your horses follow you. That's not pleasant, right? Wherever you go, like whatever you own, the things is follow you. If always this form is come from your mind. That's a fallacy. It's wrong. On the other hand, if they do not come from mind, forms should also continue to appear and be perceived by your corpse even after you die. Then you say, oh, this is not come from your mind. Okay, not come from mind. Then where is your body? No mind is there. That this forms appear to your corpse. Not right, because corpse no mind. If no mind, this forms not come from your mind, then your corpse also have to see this all these forms. Why? Because these forms not come from your mind. So no, what are you going to say? This both cannot accept. If you don't both accept, then what are you going to say? Wow, it's emptiness. This is a delusion. It's a delusion. If form is exist, if your mind is exist, then you can give this answer. The mind is no exist. Actually, these forms not come from your mind. Without the mind, you cannot see these forms. That's why you cannot give answers. That's the reason whatever you say is incorrect. Yeah, makes sense or no? This is a logic, logically we recognize that. That means like, actually I, self is not exist. These forms also not exist. But why we have these forms and I, it's because it's a delusion. We have self. Long as you have self, we are stuck already in the cage. So then whatever we say, like, like you don't recognize. Okay, so that's we have to recognize and examine in this way and apply a similar existential. Analyze to sound, smell, taste, touch, and the rest. So now we talk about it's form, body, forms. So now you can examine, apply, analyze where the songs come from. Songs come from your mind or not. Same problem. What we talked in here is your form. Then smell, same thing. It's come from mind or it's not come from mind. Then taste, touch, and all these five senses. It's the same as the form. You cannot say it's come from mind. You cannot say not come from mind, or it's delusion. Next, do not look at the thoughts, emotions, or any of the appearance of the six sense object. So next, like you do not look at the thoughts. Thoughts we already look. We already looked emotions or any of the appearance of six sense object. We already investigated that. Like just here it's very short way, examine in this way and apply similar, existence and analyze to sound, smell, taste, touch, and the rest. So you already analyze that part. So how you meditate, now we think about how to apply this meditation. When you attach to your form, your mind's fixation to the object, you have to think about, meditate and recognize that all form is object, whatever appear in your mind is delusion, not exist inherently. And you recognize that your fixation, your delusion, your fixation is gone. So then you're not attached to the form and the object. You are free from attachment. So when emotion arises, you have to look to emotion, investigate your emotion. You realize emotion is no source. Then emotions you release. So you are free from like your emotion. So then we are attached to these five senses. Long as we are attached to these five senses, fixation to these five senses, object of five senses, then we are stuck, you know, because it's like long as our mind is attached to these five senses, become we are attached to five senses, then it's already causes of suffering. So when you meditate, recognize these five senses is not exist, then free from, you know, attachment. So now you can look another way. Instead, just look directly and nakedly at the very essence of mind itself. Then you look to your mind directly. There's a nakedly, it means like no any thoughts. Your awareness directly look into your mind. The very essence of mind itself. Is there a vividness of presence? Then you look to your mind, you see your mind is vividness or present. Kind of these two things, you know, mind is always present, mind is always vividness. So if there is emptiness, then sometimes you're like into the mind's emptiness. That's all is your mind aspect. Is it more of a clarity or more of emptiness? When you log into your mind, you kind of like you seeing your mind's vividness, your mind's present, your mind's empty, your mind's clarity, emptiness. So you recognize that. That time you seeing your mind. So that mind is not easy to see. Why not easy to see? Because it's a thought and the emotions. We never going in to look to that nature. How many human beings in this world, these human beings, like some 1% practitioners looking into this mind, but 99%, no one looking into that nature, that essence, mind. If who don't look to in that mind, then where they're looking object or this phenomena. Then looking in the object phenomena, then you fixation to that, grasping to that. So that's the reason all these human beings wanting happiness create causes of suffering. So who log into this mind, nature, that person recognize nature. Then they stop all these causes of suffering. So you really into the natural state. Then you recognize, we recognize our own nature. So this is a called Lamtong. Tibet is like Vipassana. Seeing beyond means like beyond is like no conceptual thoughts. Beyond that, non-conceptual. So you see this vividness, present, emptiness, clarity, then that is beyond the conceptual. So when you see that, you have to stay in that nature. Then that is called meditate Mahamudra, which seems to be more predominant, or it is in inseparability of clarity and emptiness. So you look into that nature. Sometimes the clarity is strong, sometimes the emptiness is strong. So that is like meditators' experience. So now, right now, what we're doing? Right now, we're doing intellectual meditation. So you log to that mind, research, like investigating that mind. It's emptiness, that mind, or that mind's clarity. So you have to research, investigating when you're using intellectual meditation. Resting mind, you cannot research, you cannot use intellectual. So now you're testing, you know, like you're see something, you're testing. Example, in this water, put a lot of dust in here, it's shake. You cannot see water clearly, just you see like kind of like hole is like kind of red color, you know, yellow color or something. It's because it's already dust in the mud or something, you know. Like sometimes like you see the like strong rain comes, like you don't, water is become, or it's a kind of a red color. So like that, the usually our mind is like that. Yeah. So mind is like that. But then when you meditate, shamatha, this all dust is coming down into the bottom. Your water is comes clear. Vipassana meditation, look to that water. Intellectual meditation, testing the water. You can drink or not. That has any poison or not. That water is pure or not. Okay. So then you recognize with the seeing the water, you recognize water's quality. You know that is pure water. Then resting mind is like just let be, and you using in the drink. So then we are into already like resting mind meditation. Then you don't have to testing again. You don't have to use investigation again. So you can drink, use. I can drink. No problem, because someone already investigated, you know, it's like recognized can drink. So now I can drink, right? So that is like called resting mind meditation. So that is the case. Vipassana means seeing, recognizing clearly your mind. Really examine this way, okay, or it is inseparably of clarity or emptiness. It is important to really prove, really examine in this way by investigating and examining in this way. The get meditator will eventually reach the point where he or she will not get trapped in the web of doubt or skepticism, and will make great studies in his or her practice. This is the reason why we should examine in this way. So that's the reason we have to, you know, investigate, examine. So this part is like, it's really short. Here is like only part of the fit instruction, you know, section, examine, like intellectual part. But you go to the Mayamika teaching, Buddhist philosophy, there is more investigating. Like talk about arm bone. Then you have to investigate what means arm bone. Or logically have to approving arm bone emptiness. So actually, arm bone means this vividly present empty clarity. Your mind is arm bone. That mind is always there, but always there is empty. Empty is vividly is present. That is empty. That is always there. So that is no born. That mind is never born. That's why never die. So our birth and the death is delusion. You know, it's temporarily. We have a die, we have a birth, but actually investigating the reality, nature is never born, never die. You know, no permanently birth. Actually, no permanently birth, no permanently death. Or is interdependently arising. Interdependently arising is emptiness. Emptiness is interdependently arising. So that is emptiness. So interdependently arising is not permanently birth. That means no birth. No death means like interdependently arising is not independently die. So you study that all this philosophy part, investigation, intellectual part, then you have become same as a scientist. Science, Buddhist science. So this part is like essence of Buddha's teaching. Then this section, you can talk to with scientists when the technology or become increasing, whatever this technology increasing, science increasing, whatever the arise, the you no doubt talk with them. Discussion. Because it's a Buddhist teaching is based on the science. It's nature, you know, actually nature of a phenomenon. But the science problem is they don't recognize this vividness, present, and emptiness clarity. They don't recognize that. So Buddhist scientists and right now this 21st scientists, difference is one part is similarity, one part is big different. What is the similarity is investigation is similarity. What the difference is the last end of the proving result is different. Scientists didn't find anything because cannot find anything. It's all is empty, emptiness. If you really use logic and investigate, you cannot find anything essence. Scientists don't find that, but then they're going to nihilism. They're going into the nihilism. Buddhist scientists that didn't find anything inherently exists, but they recognize your mind, that's Buddha. It's clear, present, empty, vividly, always there. That all sentient beings has that nature. So who recognize that nature can be free from suffering. So that is a Buddhist scientist. You study Buddhist, never going to falling into nihilism. If you don't study Buddhist philosophy, then you go to internalism. Internalism, yeah. And so because we think, oh, something is exist, permanent. Even you think Buddha is permanent exist, you are nihilism, not internalism. So where is this all Buddhas come from? We say appear from emptiness, interdependently arising. So when Buddha Shakyamuni prayer, interdependently arising, we didn't say permanently Buddha is arising. So study philosophy, you understand that you are free from internalism. Study Buddhist philosophy, you are free from nihilism. So that's why it's like we are here, see, he or she will not get trapped in the web of doubt or skepticism and will make great studies in his or her practice. Then whatever people says, you don't have any doubt. You understand that your path is right. So that is become same as Nagarjuna and this Chandrakirti, all these Buddhist philosophers. We study this Buddhist philosophy, no any doubt become Buddha teaching is truth. He all talking about reality. It's 100% clearly you get certainty arise in your mind. So then you comes a really strong devotion arise Buddha. That devotion is called based on the Dharma. And then that devotion is irreversible devotion. That devotion is never lost. That devotion is not blind devotion, not blind faith. So then that time is we are really Buddhist. We really study Buddhist. We understand what Buddha shared the talk in the teachings. So otherwise, like blind follow the Buddhist really cannot be representative Buddha, Buddhist teaching. So if someone is really follow the Buddha, should study, you know, some part of like this, like intellectual part. So who consider, recognize I'm Buddhist, but you should study and understanding, of course, like it is understanding selflessness of a person what means. Otherwise, only just words follow the Buddha. Then you know, so how can I liberate? Otherwise, I want to liberate. How you want to liberate? Then no any answer there. You know, then say, please liberate me. How can I liberate you? Why Buddha don't liberate you? You know, then the no answer. Then they say, oh, you don't believe Buddha. The Buddhist people say like that, you know. Oh, you don't believe Buddha. I believe Buddha. I don't believe Buddha can liberate me if I don't do anything. So, including my mother, they say, liberate me. I told her like a couple of days ago, we have big debate. She said, I want to go away before Gachin Rinpoche exist or this spiritual, like some special teachers exist. They're going to liberate me. I told her, no one going to liberate you. You have to liberate yourself. She said, no. Okay. So there, I told her, do you practice Dharma? You went to so many years in the monastery, meditate, receive teachings. What you did? You are same is like before when you are stay in the nomads and the farmers, still you are same thinking? She said, no, I want to, they liberate me. I said, no, they're not going to liberate you. You have to do, put effort. So we have big debating, you know, like that. You know, people, they has a good mind, good thought, but no understanding the reality. If someone can liberate you, then why Buddha not liberate us? That is a big question. Buddha cannot liberate us. Buddha said, I show you the path. Liberate is, whether liberate is up to you. Means if you follow or not. Because you have a Buddha nature, you know, then you create your obscurations. So Buddha didn't create obscuration for you, right? For us. Then why we Buddha have to liberate us? We have to liberate ourselves. Buddha is us. We have a Buddha nature. We create our own obscurations. So Buddha give method, teachings, how to purify. So we have to follow that. Doctors cannot release your illness because they touch him and they say, okay, I release your illness. But doctors say you have to surgery, you have to eat medicine, right? So you have to change your food. Like they give you all these suggestions. They're telling you what you have to do. Then we have to do that. So Buddha is the same as a doctor. Dharma is the same as a medicine. Sangha is the same as a nurse. So we're talking about that all the time. So what that means, actually, Buddhism is followed by interdependent, not followed by the permanent God, not followed by creator, you know. That Buddha, Dharma, Sangha means is interdependent. We need Buddha, we need put our effort, we need medicine, we need someone helping for us. So we are same as a patient. So all is followed by interdependent. Not only up to doctor, not up to medicine, not up to and the patients. So all need to come together. So that is the core interdependence. Okay, so now second for the selflessness of phenomena. Oh, so we finished the term. Sorry about it. It's exactly great. So we finished there. I think we finished today. The selflessness of a person. So it's very good to meditate this one. When you have fears, where is the fears come from? It's selfish. I. So you look to yourself. You recognize I, self is not exist. You can release fears. So then when emotion comes, where is the emotion come from? Emotion comes from self. So you look to self. And you recognize self is not exist. Emotion is just going to die there. Fire is gone, then the small is cannot be exist. Small is going to die. Fire is same with our selfish. You know, small is same with emotion. Smoke is same with emotion. So you see the I self is not exist. Emotion is gone. Emotion is died there. You care the emotion. Your emotion you care. Usually emotion care us. So you use the selflessness of a personal meditation, you can care emotion. You can care your fears. So then you see all this problem is arise from the selfish self. So when it's like you recognize problem is there, meditate the selflessness of a person. It's very, very great to practice meditate. So usually when we fears, emotion comes, then just we follow that. We didn't really look on to ourselves. So emotion, thought, fears control us. I'm beginning last time until now. So now you have this teaching method. When you have this, any problems comes, just close your eye, look to yourself, and you can analyze yourself. Like here is no self, and part of particles, compound of phenomena. Your forehead is no self, your eyes no self. Or you investigate your part of your body, particles. Then you into your mind investigating that way. When you finish or you investigate your part of your body, your fears, your emotions, your thoughts, all is gone. So you try to go away your fear, you try to go away your emotions, you try to go away your thoughts. Not possible, never go. Instead, you create more. You're feeding your emotions, you're feeding your fears because you try to go away. Then you just look to yourself, you use intellectual, analyze yourself, where is I and the self. Then meditate that, finish it, your fear is gone, your thought is gone, your emotion is gone, your problem is gone. Make sense or no? So that we have to practice, meditate the selflessness of a person. It's very powerful, very great meditate practice. Then you are really practitioner, meditator. Okay, so that is another method, part of another method, selflessness of a person intellectually meditate. So we finished this morning here, that section. So then evening tonight, we have a 7 o'clock, you can ask question, and we're going to meditate the selflessness of a person. Thank you, everyone. So I'm going to chant the prayer. dedication. You can share the screen, the prayer, Marilyn. I don't know if she's there or,
I'm here.
okay, okay. Maongonzara sanje nangwa indaye da yesu jubo tuje jembo da yonde semban de jendo nama sanje sansen banen goji de jengomzara bade me baye de wa jinje zave jengande na yin de ne zembe jama dai je wai jin je bar mai ju bai ter jin ne nan de yar nong yo de ge da ge mo la ta ban de so je san sen dan je je ke men de par sin je la de so ya da ben za de ya wa bo de na ye zu a san jo zen jo ren bo ji ma ji ba nan je jo ji ji ba nya ba ne ba ya gong ne gong de be wa ri shu Song Nam De Ye Dam Je Zi Ba Nye Tom Nai Nyen De Zhan Nam Bam Zet Je Ga Nam Je Ba Lern Zhu Bai Si Ben So Len Zhu Wai Zhu Wa Re Shu Jam Par Ba Vi Je Taran Chen Ba Gen De Zang Bo De Yang De Yen De De Dai Gen Je Ji Se Da Lo Ge wine the die tam chair of the mo. Move the screen. One more move the screen. Okay, the last part. She's I can say can jin ji je je them ne lai wan de di gong ba. Rin jen ba je den ba sing de ba je do de sign gong de. Zen George. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Kempo. Thank you,
Thank you.
Kempo.
Thank you, Kempo.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Kempo.
You listening, teaching. Don't hold anything in your mind, okay?
Freedom.
Don't fix into samsara.
We might forget a
Freedom.
question.
Thank you, Kempo.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Kempo. Thanks, Kempo.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Kempo.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you
See you,
tonight,
see you
7
7 o'clock.
7
See you in the
o'clock.
7.
Tonight.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Debbie.
Bye,
Thank you,
everybody.
Marilyn.